Hello everyone, welcome to my channel hdorionn. We are studying accountancy for class 12 from T.S. Grewal's textbook 2023 edition, Accounting for Partnership Firms. Chapter 3, Change in Profit Sharing Ratio Among the Existing Partners. And in this video, we will study adjustment of goodwill by raising and writing off. And also we will study calculation of new profit sharing ratio on the basis of adjustment of goodwill. So let us see some questions from the textbook. Before we proceed, we have to understand the accounting for goodwill as per accounting standard 26 under intangible assets, because goodwill is an intangible asset. It is a fixed asset but intangible asset. When goodwill is to be raised and when goodwill is to be written off, when goodwill is to be recorded in the books, these things need to be understood first. There are two types of goodwill. First is the goodwill which the firm calculates by itself on certain occasions like change in profit sharing ratio, admission, retirement, death of a partner or dissolution of a firm. At these points, a firm has to calculate its goodwill. But there is another type of goodwill which is purchased from outside. If a goodwill is purchased from outside for consideration, for money consideration, then it has to be recorded in the books and shown in the books as debit balance because it is an asset. But otherwise, in our case, like in the change in the profit sharing ratio among existing partners, goodwill is not borrowed from outside. It is calculated internally by the firm, and the accounting treatment for this is given to the partners by debiting or crediting the capital account or current account of the partners, as it is mentioned here in the books. So what does the accounting standard say about this? It says, according to accounting standard 26, intangible assets goodwill should be recognized in the books only when consideration in money or money's worth has been paid for it. It means when goodwill is purchased from outside against money or by paying money or money's worth. Thus, in case of change in profit sharing ratio among partners or admission or retirement or death of a partner, goodwill is not recognized in the books of the firm because consideration in money or money's worth is not paid for it. But it says, in case of change in profit sharing ratio or admission of a partner or retirement of a partner or death of a partner, though goodwill is calculated by the firm, but money or money's worth is not paid, and therefore it should not be recognized in the books. It should be adjusted through partners' capital accounts or by raising and writing off goodwill. So it should be treated through partners' capital account or current account, as the case may be. Or second way is to treat it by raising the goodwill and then writing off the goodwill. Raising the goodwill in old ratio and writing off of the goodwill in new ratio. The result will be same. Either you do it by sacrificing or gaining ratio, or you do it by raising and writing off the goodwill. Now let us see the questions from the textbook. Question number 10. Arun, Varun and Tarun are partners sharing profits and losses in the ratio of 3:2:1. They decide to share profits and losses equally with effect from 1st April 2023. So it's a case of change in profit sharing ratio. Goodwill of the firm is valued at rupees 1,20,000. Pass journal entries when goodwill is raised and written off. In the previous video, we have studied the similar question, means the same question, in which the treatment of goodwill was done by debiting or crediting the partner's capital account in sacrificing ratio or gaining ratio. But here we need not to calculate sacrificing or gaining ratio. We will raise the goodwill first in old ratio and we will write off the goodwill in the new ratio. The result will be same as treating it in sacrificing or gaining ratio. So solution 10, treatment of goodwill. So on 1st April 2023, we will raise the goodwill. Goodwill is an asset, so goodwill account is raised by debiting it, and it will be raised with total amount of goodwill calculated by the firm. It is 1,20,000 is the firm's goodwill, and credited to all the partners capital account, to Arun, to Varun, and third partner to Tarun. And it will be broken in old ratio. Old ratio, which is 3:2:1. So when you break 1,20,000 in 3:2:1, it is 60,000, 40,000, and 20,000 rupees. Being goodwill raised. In old ratio, which is 3:2:1. Goodwill is always to be raised in old ratio. Now, on the same date, we will write off goodwill. Write off goodwill, and it is a change in profit sharing ratio among old partners itself. So all the three partners capital account will be debited now. Now Arun's capital account debited. Varun's capital account debited. Tarun also. Now we are writing off goodwill, means we are eliminating or we are removing goodwill from the books. So an asset is removed by crediting it. So goodwill account is credited and closed with the same amount, 1,20,000. But now writing off will be done in new ratio. And it is new ratio is what? 1:1:1. So 40,000 rupees each. Being goodwill written off. Being goodwill written off in new ratio, which is 1:1:1. So this is the treatment of goodwill. Now this is same as treating the goodwill in sacrificing ratio and gaining ratio. Fine. Here capital accounts are credited in old ratio. Here capital accounts are debited in new ratio. It is nothing but old ratio minus new ratio. The effect will be same as you have treated in sacrificing ratio or gaining ratio without opening goodwill account. The only difference is here that goodwill account is once debited and once it is credited. Fine. Now let us see question number 11. Hari, Ram and Shyam, who were sharing profits and losses in the ratio of 5:3:2, decide to sell future profits and losses in the ratio of 2:2:1. So this is the old ratio and this is the new ratio. Goodwill of the firm is valued at rupees 1 lakh and goodwill existing in the books is rupees 40,000. So there is a existing goodwill, which you can call it as old goodwill in the books, which has been purchased from the market against money or money worth, and therefore it is shown in the balance sheet, debit balance as asset. So this is to be written off first. So we will write off this first, and then we will raise the goodwill, and then we will write off the goodwill which is recently calculated, that is rupees 1 lakh. Show the necessary accounting treatment by raising goodwill account. So 3 journal entries will be needed. First for writing off the old goodwill, and then raising the goodwill, new goodwill, and then writing off of the new goodwill. Let us see. So solution 11 we will see. We have to write off the old goodwill already existing in the books at rupees 40,000. So all the partners capital account will be debited. Hari, Ram and Shyam. Hari's capital account debited. Because capital accounts are fluctuating, therefore capital accounts are debited. If there is an information of current account, then all the treatments will be done by current account, taking capital account as fixed. Ram's capital account also debited. and Shyam. Shyam's capital account is also debited to Goodwill because Goodwill is already existing in the books and now we are writing it off and therefore it will be credited and closed, rupees 40,000. And this will be done in old ratio, which is 5:3:2, and therefore 20,000 rupees, then it is how much, 12,000 rupees and 8,000 rupees. So this, in this ratio we have writing it off. After writing off the existing goodwill, the treatment for new calculated goodwill will be done, and new calculated goodwill is rupees 1 lakh. For this we will raise the goodwill again. Goodwill account is raised and new goodwill is how much, rupees 1 lakh, and partner's capital account will be credited. In there, in old ratio is 5:3:2. So we will break this 1 lakh rupees in 50,000, 30,000 and 20,000. So this way the goodwill is raised in the books. So now if you stop here, then you will see that goodwill being debit balance showing, it will be shown in the asset side. But we have not purchased this goodwill from outside. It is the internal goodwill calculated by the firm. So we need to write it off now. Writing off will be reverse the raising goodwill. So how to write it off? We will debit all the partners' capital account. Hari's capital account debited, then Ram's capital account also debited, and Shyam, to goodwill. Now goodwill is credited and closed with the same amount, rupees 1 lakh. That is the new goodwill or recently calculated goodwill. And new ratio is 2:2:1. So it will be 40,000 rupees for first two partners and 20,000 rupees for the last partner. So actually what are we doing? We are doing nothing but raising it in old ratio and writing it off in new ratio. So it is old ratio minus new ratio. The effect will be same as you treat the goodwill by sacrificing and gaining ratio. So unless the question is very particular about, it is mentioned in the question that you have to write off, you have to raise the goodwill and write off the goodwill, then only we have to go for this method. Otherwise, the treatment of goodwill should be done by sacrificing and gaining ratio method. Now let us see question number 12. A, B and C shared profits and losses in the ratio of 3:2:1 respectively. With effect from 1st April 2023, they agreed to share profits equally, which is 1:1:1. So there is a change in profit sharing ratio among partners. So now is the time for the firm to adjust goodwill or to calculate and make treatment for goodwill. The goodwill of the firm was valued at rupees 18,000. Now there are two methods. First, by goodwill is adjusted through partners capital account, means only by capital account we have to adjust the goodwill, that is by using sacrificing and gaining ratios of the partners. And the second method is by raising the goodwill and then writing off the goodwill, raising the goodwill in old ratio and writing it off in new ratio. So three journal entries are needed here. Let us see. So in this case, we will have to calculate sacrificing and gaining ratio for the treatment of goodwill. And sacrificing ratio is equal to old ratio minus new ratio. So for A, old ratio is 3/6 minus new ratio 1/3. For B, it is 2/6 minus 1/3. And for C, it is 1/6 minus 1/3. I hope you know all these things. Fine. Now LCM will be 6 So here it is 3 minus 2. Here also LCM will be 6 and it is 2 minus 2. Yes. Here also LCM is 6. It is 1 minus 2. And the result is 1 by 6. Here it is nil, it is 0. Here it is minus 1 by 6. So here A is sacrificing, but here C is gaining because the answer is in negative. So the partner who sacrifices, his capital account is to be credited, and the partner who has gained, his capital account is to be debited. So let us pass the journal entry now for A part of the question. C's capital account debited. C's capital account debited to A's capital account. And the amount of goodwill of the firm is rupees 18,000. So 18,000 multiplied by 1 by 6, because this is the change in the profit sharing ratio. It means C is getting 1 by 6th of the total profit of the firm, and therefore C is gaining. So C's capital account will be debited by rupees 3,000, and the same amount here, because the gain and sacrifice are same, being treatment of goodwill. Being treatment of goodwill. So in the second part of the question, we have to raise the goodwill in old ratio and then write it off in the new ratio. So raising the goodwill means debiting goodwill. So goodwill account will be debited to A's capital account, to B's capital account, and to third partner C's capital account. Amount of goodwill is rupees 18,000, and it is raised. Raised in the ratio 3:2:1. So it is 9,000 rupees, 6,000 rupees, and 3,000 rupees. Being goodwill raised in old ratio, which is 3:2:1. Now we will write off goodwill. By A's capital account, we will debit. Reverse of the first entry. B's capital account also debited. C's capital account also debited to goodwill account. So it is in new ratio. 18,000 rupees broken in the ratio 1:1:1 is rupees 6,000 each. So this way the goodwill is written off, and now the treatment of goodwill by raising and writing it off is done. Now see, second part of the question, that is B part of the question, is same as part A. The effect is same. I mean to say the effect is same. You can see here A's capital account is credited by rupees 9,000, and then A's capital account is debited by rupees 6,000. It means the effect here for A's capital account is credited by rupees 3,000. You see, 3,000 rupees. Whereas for C also you can see that C's capital account is credited first with rupees 3,000 and then debited with rupees 6,000 here. So C is showing debit of rupees 3,000, whereas for B it is debited and credited with the same amount, so no effect. So it is nothing but the part A's journal entry extended form. Fine. So the effect in the partner's capital account will be same, and capital and goodwill account is first debited and first credited with the same amount, so it is nullified. Now let us see question number 13. It is related to calculation of new profit sharing ratio on the basis of adjustment of goodwill. So let us read the question first. Naman, Aman and Raman are partners sharing profits and losses in the ratio of 2:2:1. On 1st April 2023, they decided to change the profit sharing ratio. They passed the adjustment entry for goodwill in the books. Now, The changed profit sharing ratio is not given in the question, and that is what we have to figure out. Fine. Whereas what is provided to us is the adjustment entry for goodwill here in the journal. So Naman's current account is debited, Raman's current account is debited to Aman's current account with the amount 24,000, 16,000 and rupees 40,000. Here current accounts are maintained because capital accounts are fixed. Whenever the capital accounts are fixed, treatment of goodwill is to be done by opening current account. What will be the new profit sharing ratio of the partners assuming capital of partners are fixed? So by looking at the current account itself, you can make out that partners capital accounts are fixed. Now, one important thing is here, the treatment of goodwill, as we have already learned, is done in sacrificing and gaining ratio. Here, the partners whose capital account are debited, they are the gainers. These are the gainers. They have gained in the change in profit sharing ratio. Whereas the partner whose capital account is creditor is the sacrificer. Sacrifice. Fine. So here you see the amount of goodwill is rupees 2 lakh. That is 2 lakh rupees is the firm's goodwill. Fine. And it is, and the gaining ratio is 3 by 25 and 2 by 25, and sacrificing ratio is 5 by 25. So using this information given in the hint, of course a part of question, let us find out the new profit sharing ratio of. So solution 13, we are having 3 partners. And gained. Who has gained? Naman has gained. Naman has gained 3 by 25th of the total profit. And Raman has also gained. Raman has gained 2 by 25 of the total profit in change in profit sharing ratio, in which the new ratio is not known to us. New ratio is what we have to find out. Whereas sacrifice, who has sacrificed? Aman has sacrificed. Aman has sacrificed 5 by 25th portion of the total profit. Now we know that sacrificing ratio is equal to old ratio minus new ratio. So we will use this information here for first partner Naman. For Naman we will use sacrificing ratio. Naman has actually gained, so we will write sacrificing ratio as minus 3 by 25 is equal to old ratio, here it is 2 by 5 minus new ratio is not known to us. Fine. So when we transpose it, bring this to left hand side and take this to right hand side, new ratio is equal to 2 by 5. Now this minus will become plus 3 by 25. Now when you solve this, LCM will be 25. 25 divided by 5 is 5, into 2 is 10, plus 3, because 25 divided by 25 is 1, 1 multiplied by 3 is 3. So it is 13 by 25. This is the new ratio for Naman. Now let us calculate for Aman. Naman was the gainer, whereas Aman is a sacrificer. So Aman has sacrificed. How much has he sacrificed? 5 by 25. 5 by 25 is equal to, that is sacrificing ratio is equal to old ratio, that is 2 by 5 minus new ratio. Now again transpose it. Fine. Again transpose it. So you will get new ratio is equal to 2 by 5 minus 5 by 25. When you solve this, so here LCM will be 25. In the numerator, you will get 10 minus 5, which is equal to 5 by 25. So this is the new ratio for Aman. Here how 10? 25 divided by 5 is 5, multiplied by 2 is 10, and 25 divided by 25 is 1, multiplied by 5 is 5. Now let us see for the third partner, Raman. Raman is also a gainer. He has gained in the change in profit sharing ratio. So sacrificing ratio will be represented by minus 2 by 25 is equal to new ratio, that is 1 by 5 minus new ratio. The old ratio 1 by 5 minus new ratio. Now transpose it again. You will get new ratio. Bring it this side and 1 by 5. Now it is plus 2 by 25. Take LCM here. LCM is 25. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 5 multiplied by 1 is again 5. Plus 25 divided by 25 is 1. Multiplied by 2 is 2. That is equal to 7 by 25. So this way we get the new ratios of the partner: 13 by 25, 5 by 25 and 7 by 25. So the new ratio is how much? New ratio is, I will write it here, 13 by 25 is to 5 by 25 is to 7 by 25. Here the denominators are same. As a result, the numerators can be said as new ratio. Fine. Even if you add this, you will get the denominators. So 13 plus 5 plus 7 is nothing but 25. So this way also you can cross check it, and this is how it is to be understood. It is a tricky question, but it is simple once you have understood it. I hope that you have watched the full video and have understood the concept very well. In case you are having any doubt, then please put it in the comment section. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing and sharing this channel. I know that you like my videos very much. Thank you so much for watching this video.